PhD student from Lancaster University, and I'm working on the Oxchain project. The Oxchain project is a UK-led research initiative over 3 years, and we explore blockchain technology for the international development sector with various charities. One to highlight is Oxfam Australia, which helped us massively in getting where we are today. Where we are today is we are just launching our Smart Donations platform, which I'm going to talk about more in detail. So if you want to go ahead, go to our website, check it out. We are onboarding people this minute. So what I'm going to talk is about a model for real-time conditional giving. And this links very much into everything we heard before. So we want to empower donors to create or to attach conditions to a donation to give to something they care most about. We want to increase the security of donations by utilizing blockchain technology and a very strong access model that we build on top that prevents fraud and abuse. We can automatically release funds whenever they're needed the most, and our platform promotes transparency by using a public ledger to keep the records. So the model is quite simple. It's a little bit like if this then that for charity. So in this example, I'll give $5 to the Oxfam Emergency Response Team if an earthquake hits in Vanuatu, which is validated, confirmed by the US Geological Survey. Another one, personally my favorite one, but quite expensive sometimes, is I give 20 cents up to a maximum of $5 each time Donald Trump talks about the wall. There is a cap on that, so don't worry, you won't get bankrupt, but it will trigger quite quickly. We use escrows to store donations, and very often, if we talk about this in the UK, we have a lot of confused faces and no one really knows what an escrow is. So an escrow is an agreement between two people or organizations in which money is kept by a third party, right? And usually, when the funds will be released if a particular condition is met. This is very commonly used for buying houses or having high-value transactions. And usually these intermediaries are very, very expensive, and these escrows are. So the value of using blockchain for that is that smart contracts already allow to establish self-regulated and enforceable contracts, right? So we can build very simple, transparent escrows which makes it actually feasible to use them for donations. We have a network of oracles that can be used to validate the donations or the conditions, and we can transfer tokens quite easily over the network, meaning we can transfer funds quickly and without intermediaries. And we obviously, as is already mentioned, we have very transparent back reporting. So how can we use smart donations? So we have 4 categories where we are framing smart donations around. And one is emergency relief, which we talked already or heard a lot already. So this links to an immediate response, and our funds are delivered as quickly as the validator confirms, for example, an earthquake struck. We have something that is talking about more an ongoing long-term support. So you might identify as a donor that there is a need of supporting refugees in the Mediterranean Sea, for example. And you can link that up to something you can associate with. So for example, I give every time a lifeboat launches in the UK, a little bit to the Lifeboat Association that protects me and my family and friends locally, but also a little bit to Sea-Watch 3, for example, helping others. Another interesting model for using smart donations are personal pacts. Personal pacts are relating to something in your life. That could be something you achieved and you set milestones to give to charity. It could also be like a little indulgence. So for example, when I drank too much on the weekend in a pub, I'll give a little bit to charity. So trying to make this a little bit more playful as well. And we have activist pledges where you could support campaigns or set off what happens bad in the world. So for example, every time Donald Trump tweets, you give a little bit to a refugee program in Mexico. We are validating these events using 4 different types of oracles in our current version. We're just using trusted third parties, so the USGS, Twitter, or the Met Office of Australia, for example. But we are looking into models to support self-validation. That could be a smartwatch, for example. We're looking into means to utilize the crowd, which could be either your friends or a crowd of friends that validate that I drank too much, or it could be the crowd of donors, and we measure then impact of a particular project, for example. And we would like to see whether we can utilize data mining, which would run this decentralized to identify whether conditions were met as a fallback. So for example, if the USGS stops validating our contracts, we could use data sources from news articles, for example, to validate that an earthquake stroke. So I think if you think 2 minutes of how your donation could look like, we will end up with probably 20 to 30 smart donation ideas quite quickly. And this leads to an issue of fragmentation. So the charities we're working with, they obviously need a critical amount of money to spend on for a particular issue, for example, if an earthquake struck. So what we did, we created a model where we use kind of a template where the charity can define a rough model of who is the validator, who would receive the money, so is the beneficiary, how long would such a contract run, what is the contract about, is it about an earthquake, is it about Donald Trump, etc. And this allows us to chain up these and collect more funds for one particular cause, and obviously to predict how much money there will be available if a particular event happens. The interaction model is quite simple. You, for example, you as a charity, whether it's Oxfam or the Red Cross, you can create a donation template, the framework around the donation. I, as a donor, pick one of the templates, modify the conditions. For example, I only want to give to an earthquake that happens in Oceania. Seal my donation, and every time there is an earthquake, it will be validated and the funds will be directly issued to the beneficiary. We built a quite large system architecture, and I am not going to bother you with that. We built the blockchain, we built the not the blockchain, but we built the smart contracts. We built off-chain management infrastructure, and we built an application. We are currently exploring a backend that allows charities to issue smart donations quite easily, and also to predict how much money there will be available in a particular condition. I would like to end up with a quick live demo of the app that is actually released at the moment. I don't expect that there will be any significant event at the moment, but I just talk you through some of the quirks of our app. So let's see if that works. Oops. So one focus of our app was that we wanted to allow anyone to use it. So basically, my granddad should be able to use it without having a big knowledge about blockchain. It's kind of the Apple approach. We deliver a minimum viable product first, and we add features in the future once users are knowing a little bit about it. So what we basically do is you can add funds using a voucher code that you buy in your local Oxfam store or online. Once you topped up your account, you can look for projects. And we can do this interactive. So we have 3 projects. I recommend we do the earthquake one because I've heard there are a lot of earthquakes in Japan as well. So that kind of links also to the location we are. And I'm going to use not a pre-pledged plan, but I'm going to use the contract builder. And just tell me, what is the threshold? What magnitude should we choose? Anyone? 5? So let's choose 5. And where do you want to have this issued? Which continents do you want to cover? Anyone? Asia? Okay. I don't think we need a particular country. We could set a particular country, but let's go just for Asia. And we donate a total amount of £10. We can now decide whether we want to have a one-off donation or if we want to have it gradually. I decide to go for a gradual donation, and I give £5, so $5, so that would be issued 2 times. I can now set my donation period. I select 14 days, and I'm just can now read through my contract, sign it. I'll change the password later, by the way, so no one will be able to sign for me. And now we have to wait a little bit. We are now mining not mining, we are now transferring it on the blockchain, which sometimes happens quicker, as you can see. And we entered something that we call a cool down period. This is a 5 minutes period. We foresee this to be 24 hours, where you could change your smart donation before it gets immortable written, immortable. It is already on the blockchain, but you can still withdraw it if you would want to. Just to give you a very, 1 minute left, just to give you a very brief look how it would look like if a condition would be validated. You would get a push notification. Again, the funds are issued immediately, and you will have a provenance path or like a timeline that shows you which event triggered the funds to be issued and where the funds went to. We support N validators, so multiple validators and multiple beneficiaries, and we allow charities to design the content in a way that re-engage with the user and also ask them to, for example, renew the donation. If you have any questions, just approach me. I would be really keen to hear your feedback, and thank you very much.